I want my life to be full. I'm wasting it. I'm wasting. I think we can all relate to the modern hustle. These days, everybody's hyper optimizing for productivity and achievement and success and that bag. And how can you blame us when everything is becoming increasingly fast paced and uncertain? The collective economy is collapsing, not to be alarmist or anything. And like with the rate of crises we're experiencing in the world today, the future is just not something a lot of us are willing to bank on. I feel like a good number of us these days, at least in the corner of our minds, are walking around like it could actually die today, and that would be it. Which is true at any point in time, but it's just, I suppose, it begins to feel more real sometimes. Okay. And so, with knowledge of that reality constantly somewhere in the back of our minds, we have a few options placed in front of us here. We could choose to be nihilistic, for example, like, what is even the meaning of any of this? None of this matters. We live on a floating rock, all that. But I mean, I guess kind of boring eventually, doesn't it? And so I feel like a lot of us choose instead to be hyper productive and to be constantly chasing goals and productivity and achievement and accomplishments and stuff like that. Just to do our best to build that dream life while we can. And for those of us who have all these many different things we want to achieve in life, those that don't have one single clear ultimate goal we're working toward because it's like six instead, um, we could decide to optimize our schedules so that we fit in every single one of those things into every single day that we get. And it seems like a solid plan, though, because it means you're making steady progress towards all those different areas that mean something to you. And so you're that much closer to achieving all of them before, say, 2040, because who knows what the world will come to by then. Tomorrow is not promised to anybody, and so it follows that it's in our best interest to do as much as we can with whatever time we have now, right? The problem with that approach is that it's inefficient at best. And that is a pill I fought so hard against swallowing because, okay, like in the first video I made, video one, I literally talked about how, like, in all my research and stuff for starting YouTube, one piece of advice that I kept coming across was to find a niche, to decide what it is your channel is about, and then focus on that. And I remember what I was saying exactly pretty much was hell no. Like, all you seasoned and experienced YouTubers with hundreds of thousands of subscribers to your name, you don't know you don't know jack. And so I'm going to do what I want, and what I want is everything all at once. I'm not going to choose a single thing. And I'm realizing, that that's far easier said than done. Because at the end of the day, it's true. If you divide your energy and your time or your attention among five different things, you'll make so much less progress in all of them individually and collectively, okay, than you would have if you had just taken them one after the other and given your 100% each time. And on top of that, you can burn out really, really easily when you're carrying so many things on top of your head and trying to devote attention in so many different ways. You're going to get tired and lots of energy is going to be lost in the process. Realistically speaking, if you're going to achieve anything substantial, you have to let some things go, or at least postpone them to the future. Like, I was watching this one video on managing multiple interests the other day, and he talked about exactly this, where it's like you have all these things you want to do, all these interests you want to engage in, but then it's not possible. It is not possible to do all of them and actually have any substantial form of growth. And so he said different things in the video. He talks about having a scale of preference, so that you can prioritize what is most important to you, and then realize that, I'm going to have to devote more time to that than the other things on the list. He talked about scheduling and blocking in portions of time where you dedicate solely to that thing, those priority things, and like deciding those time frames by priority as well. Like maybe the biggest thing on your list, you give it like 4 hours. All those other smaller, less important stuff on your list of scale of preference, you can give them like 1 hour, 2 hours, that kind of thing. Talked about deferring stuff to the future, which is not, it's not a pleasant thing to think about for those of us that like to have all these things we're doing. We have so many interests, and it's like I just want to do all of them. I don't want to have to wait or to postpone anything. But honestly, it's necessary. So when I finally came to terms with the fact that I cannot realistically do everything at once and still achieve the kind of growth I'm aiming for, I decided to make a timeline, and like kind of like based on that scale of preference thing where, okay, in this time period, maybe this year or in this period of 6 months or whatever, this is what my priority is, this is what I'm going to focus on, and those things keep fluctuating, so that maybe the next year or in the next 2 years prioritize this instead and grow intentionally in that area. And then the other things take the back seat, kind of like in their order of like hierarchy you grab. So yeah, they keep exchanging positions in my scale of preference and my level of priority per time, so that I am devoting intentional and enough energy to each thing for an extended period before switching to the next one. Does that make sense? The motivation for doing everything all at once is stuff like, yeah, how the future looks more and more uncertain for a lot of us these days, and some of us cannot stand the thought of possibly dying and not getting everything, or at least the most important stuff that we aspire towards, done. There's also the desire to achieve success and like wealth at a young age, maybe to break or to set some sort of record, or to retire early, or to even escape some sort of situation and build that better life for yourself. There's also the influence of social media and you seeing all these people who are living their best lives and all that, some even like much younger than you, and it makes you feel like you're falling behind or you're wasting your time. And so there's that need to catch up and get there also. And these are all valid concerns, honestly. But I feel like certain ways we try to go about overcoming or navigating some of these things are doing more harm than good. Like in this case, wasting more time than it's saving. Also, I know success and achievement is important, but isn't it also important to just live? And it's ridiculous too, because we go, okay, when I achieve X, then I'll be happy and I'll be able to live life and do all the other fun stuff I wanted to do. But the whole reason we are rushing to achieve X is because in our minds we feel like there's not much time after that. And so it's like, okay, let's say you're right, and by the time you've achieved X, having put in all this effort and all this work and all this like getting there, rushing to get there as soon as possible. By the time you've achieved X, let's say you're right and there is actually no time after that, and thankfully we're able to get it done. So now, when exactly are you trying to live and have joy and fun and go traveling, or just experience the beauty of living? The point of all this being that the world is not ending tomorrow. At least I know mine isn't, and I hope yours isn't. I realize life is uncertain and nobody knows what comes next or how much time we have. And tomorrow is not promised to anybody. So the incentive to try and rush life essentially and fit all these things that you want to do with your life into the next 5-10 years is there, and it's understandable. But if in your attempt to do that you end up draining yourself and then spending even more time than you would have if you had just calmed down and taken your time to actually properly grow, is it really worth it? I think that these days we have such a warped perception of time, because I know we make projections like in the next 20 years so and so will happen, or by the year 2050 this and this and that. Well, if I'm being honest, in my brain, yeah, 2050 is not real. It does not exist. 2050 is the year they put in all these dystopian, futuristic sci-fi books or movies. 2050 as a real, fathomable 2050 as a real, fathomable, like, concept, as something that's actually going to happen, does not exist. Like, 2050 is wild, and sometimes even 2040 is a bit iffy. Funnily enough, it turns out that at the rate I was trying to progress according to that timeline, I'm going to have achieved, or at least set in motion, all of the things that I have planned, all my goals, before I am 30, or when I am thereabouts. Sha. And so it's like, okay, after that, what? It kind of puts things into perspective because, okay, let's pretend for a moment that 2050 is actually real and it actually exists or is going to anyway. What's going to happen then if once you've succeeded in squeezing your entire life into the next 10, 15, 20 years? I mean, I'm sure I'll find something else to do and other hobbies and goals will come up with time. And there are some of these things on my goal list that are progressive and continuous. So it's not as if it will end. It's something I'm going to keep doing. Okay, but then still, in light of this new perspective that I have based on the timeline, I'm realizing that maybe it's okay if I allow myself 2 years instead of one to work on getting better at my art. And okay, I suppose now I think about it, getting good at music production is probably going to take me more than 2 years. So this rush I'm subjecting myself to is quite honestly unnecessary in the first place. And then it's the equivalent of like the way in Minecraft you apply bone meal to a crop to get it to grow right now. But for God's sake, I'm not a carrot. So this video, in all honesty, is for me more than it is for anybody else. But if you relate to the rush of trying to get everything done as soon as possible because you have no concept of the future essentially, then I suppose this is our reminder to pace ourselves and to permit ourselves the time it takes to actually properly grow. The world is not ending tomorrow. We're allowed to take our time. And so, in response to that excerpt that I put in the beginning of the video, it's like, baby girl, calm down. You are 18. Okay, according to your graph in video 2, you have only just begun the beginning of the middle. And so, you have so much life left in you. Calm down and take your time. Also, I know you guys are not daft, okay, but I feel like I should put this disclaimer in anyway. I'm not trying to say, okay, the fact that we should not, I'm saying we shouldn't rush to fit our whole lives into this small time period because there is time, God willing, okay. It's not me saying to live wastefully or to just throw away your time or like be lazy and unproductive and stuff. I'm just saying there should be some sort of balance in everything that needs to be balanced. So yeah, that's the point I'm making. Okay, so going forward, what that looks like, what me taking my time, okay, looks like for this channel and for my life in general is just like, I suppose, contrary to what I said in video 1, I might end up focusing on one thing per time, maybe 2 things per time or 3. I don't know. We'll see how it goes, but I will try and have my priorities in order, and so that might manifest itself as me focusing on one area, like my channel becoming mainly about one thing. We'll see how it goes. Yeah, and then it's probably going to undergo changes as time goes on. Maybe from a channel about like video production and stuff, it's going to morph into more about writing, more about art and all that. We'll see how it goes, but I'm just saying, yeah, trying to practicalize that everything I've just said. So yeah, thank you for watching. I hope that this video means something to you as well. Do all the things. Do all the things. Thank you. I appreciate that. And yeah, I'll see you or you'll see me in the next video.